Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Season 55, 5 vs 5 Grand Arena Championship, Week 1. I am joined by my regular co-hosts, Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha. We're going to be breaking things down here with the first week of Set 15 being active, Datacron Set 15. But first, about the Week 1 itself, I went 2-1. I almost went 3-0, and I kind of got jammed up on Gungans for a bit. Managed to get through it, only to meet a JMK in the back that I did not have the stuff to deal with. We'll get into the details there, but how about you guys? How was your weeks?
Two and one.
Yeah, there you go.
2-1. I had a hell of a third round where I just got like super jammed up because I wanted to try and save a counter for something else, and I just shouldn't have done that, and then ended up just like absolutely impaling myself on Gungans.
Yeah, that I've seen a few really good players get just completely frozen out on Gungans this week. All right, appreciate you, Dagger. All right, who's next?
Yeah.
Oh,
You should have a B on your hat for broke bitch because you only got 811 crystals.
it's true. It's true. It's true. Feel free to buy me a vault anytime.
I just want to buy Dagger some ability to talk with one full sentence.
That's right. Yes.
Blah blah blah. 811 crystals.
When
but
you're finished
Dagger.
being
Also,
waterboarded, you can come on back and talk shit.
Also, fuck Dagger, but at the same time, get more crystals. You poor ass whale.
It's true. It's true.
Also 2-1. Also, fuck Gungans. They are the happiness and the bane because we all love them and we hate them, and the shit's so random. What works for one does not work for the other. So, F Gungan #2024. But 2-1 this week.
All very fair. How about you, Sasha?
And for me, 2-1, and it was SLK that was my undoing. But in reality, it was only that was the only legit match, and I can get into it. But it was a lot of fun. Had some fun counters that I used, but SLK was extremely unforgiving at a GML that got a very thick SLK down to the last sliver of red, but not enough to finish it off. And then an angry SLK wiped a whole herd of Jedi.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I believe that. All right, guys. Let's dig right in to the matchups of the week. So our meta matchups, let me minimize this here, and I've gone ahead and pre-sorted out what I thought are really the big ones to hit. That'll be Boss Nass, Queen Amidala, and Jedi Master Kenobi. So Boss Nass, I set up a tab each for Nass level 9 and for Jar Jar level 9 just to get some kind of sense. So as far as, my own experience fighting Boss Nass, I tried it twice with Leia, and it was Battleship Sunk on both. It might have been a bit of mismanagement. I think it probably is something where I could have made one or two moves differently, and that might have been enough. Because I've seen some people barely pull it off, and barely pull it off is enough in enough cases. But it wasn't enough for me. So Leia was a real disappointment. I think otherwise I turned to
GR
Bane.
ability block level 6. GR ability block level 6 is the key there. You use Drogon and Leia to call R2 to ability block Jar Jar.
I see. Now, let's see. So this is against Nascron on this page.
And don't get me wrong, that won't make it 100%. That won't make it 100%, right? That'll just make it better.
Yeah, looks like it might be like one here. Let's assume here. Why don't we filter that on? Because I'd be interested in seeing the details on that.
I would rely on Dagger's statement, but man, Gungans are such a wild horse that it's like even when it becomes like something that they call the blah blah 100%, they're just all over the place, and then you get the different fight between Boss Nass and or Jar Jar.
Yeah, so it looks like very rare to see it tried here. But one attempt that was successful was with Radis and Jin. 65. Now that's against the NAS version. How about this way? Attacking Datacron, yes.
I honestly think he wants C3PO because the translation gives you crit chance and max health.
Who would you take as the fifth then? Who would you be your fifth then if you were to do that?
Like Old Ben.
Old Ben? Okay, I know we talked about it before, but man, I just that damn team, dude. And I'm going to give props to CG for this one. This team, obviously the Datacron, don't get me wrong. We're not going to be talking about this in 4 months when this is all done. But this team right now with these 2 crons is just a nightmare fight. And the variability is nuts. It is so high. Like I watched.
So it looks like this works. This looks like this has legs. So as long as you're just, I guess, mindful to always direct R2 towards Jar Jar. Okay, I see it. You see this? This is with R2, Old Ben, and Mon Mothma. 2 out of 3 battles were successful using Radis and Jin.
So the only other thing I want to add when I ask this, is this our level? Is this facing who we're facing?
Question. Great question, panelist. For the purpose of our discussion here, all of these teams have been sorted on to assume Kyber 1, minimum defensive relic level of 7, and the appropriate Datacron with all available applicable Omicrons sorted on for the base team.
Okay. I just had to call that out because a lot of people do these things where you want to call out, well, this always works. We could do this. Guys, it's
not really down on the real data. We're sorting this.
Yeah. We nitpick the data here on this show.
That's why I do it. I get tired of watching people call it out, and I even see it in Tass's streams or I see it on content creator streams. Just use this. It's guys, stop doing that.
Shout out to your patron, Renee, and our former guest, Zid, for that conversation regarding Leia.
Yeah, dig that. Fair.
We don't just talk to ourselves. We talk in the community too.
Yeah, sometimes. Okay, so who else were winners against this, NAS menace? Of course, JMK, I could see that working with the Padme Cron, trivializing all of the assist damage. Slacker's looking bumpy there. I tried that once, one round, and I think I finished with 2 characters. Yeah, with Slacker and FOSF alive. So when
you finished. Hey,
yeah, I did. I did. It was a one shot.
You finished.
It was technically right, and that is the best kind of right. I'm not here to hate. This I saw a couple people do. I had actually one opponent who did this to me. The Padme lead with the Padme Cron, Ahsoka, Zaris, GK, and I don't know if he had exactly shock, but it might have been exactly this composition. But I've seen this work now. So that's 3 people who did this in our neck of the woods. Okay. Yeah. Look at that. It's much more reliable than like Trey or anything of the kind. So, wow, man. So that's because it's pretty difficult to substitute. Man, I guess it's not that hard to substitute, but it's
so I could already see how to work this out as a better point, right? If you're keeping JMK for offense, you've now flexed 2 amazing setups. Mm-hmm. To use Padme on the Nightmare that is Gungans, to me, like you saw with Sasha, right? And he got it to work with against Quadme and 3s. That is in itself killing that team that is murdering everybody because you listen to the 2-1s. Yours was Gungans, mine was Gungans. It's a common thread that the threats that are there, right? JMK is a threat. If you can take that and you have the faster cat and you don't need it on the JMK team, you're just going to mirror and you win and you're done. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's true. That is a fair point.
If you are one of these filthy efficiency players, and I do mean the filthy part to be a negative, not a I'm a filthy. No, you're filthy.
You disgust me. You sleep outside.
Yeah. But if you are one of those people, you have a lot more options than the rest of us who are just like the 3 best teams that we're going to discuss. We just slam them on defense and make it your problem.
Yeah,
and it is the problem.
Right.
Now dig this. Dig this. That Padme Cron, or that Padme setup, offensive setup, is seemingly pretty strong here. On the Jar Jar Cron. Yeah, there's a lot more 100s on this side with a couple different compositions. Some of them less likely to be used than others.
No, there's like Queen 10 total fights.
Huh?
10 total fights?
Very, very few total fights, okay? There's not a big sample size.
60% on 10 total fights is a very, very small sample size.
It's the only sample size we got, man. So
but
let me just say this, though. Look at this side.
Can you take a...
The
Take a
only
look
the
at the
only
losses.
point I'm highlighting about this counter that I can see in the data right now is
really
that
quick,
it looks.
for those of you who are listening to this, please go to YouTube or Spotify because we're looking at .gg, the website,
Yeah.
and discussing it.
Yeah, I've got this up on screen here in the video, so hopefully all you folks could see this. But the idea here is that I'm comparing on one tab the fight with the Boss Nass level 9 versus the Jar Jar level 9. And it looks like this Padme Lee Krun can work against both, but it's much more... It seems to have performed better against the Jar Jar level 9 than Nass. And I really do want to point out and highlight... We were all kind of underestimating this, even on our talk with Fatal, about the... value of the Boss Nass level 9. I gotta say, man, that was the most decisive loss I had this week, was fighting a Boss Nass that, I mean, the amount of time that you might be spending waiting to get a turn, and then when you finally get turns, you're hammering away at this generator. Then when you finally get it down, you get 10 more stacks, and then you see what's his name, Boombadir, go and throw another couple stacks back, restoring it. You're like, geez, when am I going to get through? You've got less than 2 minutes with a full health team, and you're just about to get the generator down, and then the fight can really start for you. You know, so. That was terrifying. I really do want to give props to that Boss Nass level 9 because it's not that great in threes.
I think it's just we're missing the two pieces, though, right?
It's not that great in threes, but it shines in fives.
But it's just the fact that we're getting the full spectrum of the team, right?
The
You have
full gamut
those
of real
additional
debuffs.
two moves, man, are bananas, right? Seeing the full thing of that's why I said I have to get the props to CG for what they built.
Yeah.
This team feels like the complete team and is a gamble of what it's going to do and what it's going to hit you with. And that's where it's like those other two make this just that much better, right? It's Tuskens in threes, it's Gungans in fives, and you just know it's a monster team.
Yeah.
And this just feels complete.
All right, well let's get ready to move from this, but yeah, I think we covered the highlights. Basically, if you weren't coming at this super proper with like Leia, Bane, I guess this Padme, Slacker, something like that, you were going to get wiped out. By the way, it looks like Inquisitorius with the Ninth Sister in the mix and the Ninth Sister Kron has decent chance of winning against the Boss Nass level 9. All right? Not so much here against
Look
Jar
at
Jar
that 54 banner average win, though. Like, gross.
Well, it's 54. Yeah. 55 and 54. Yeah. It's not great. It's not great. Like, it's... So I wouldn't say rely on it, but we can't say it didn't happen. You know, I mean, all right, enough on that.
Almost under 2 minutes. That's actually a pretty quick fight too. So,
which makes sense, right? Because we see that, we saw that when we were doing this in 3 versus 3, and that fight ends pretty damn fast.
You just laugh at the fact when you say it's like we're at 3 minutes. Like, man, that's pretty fast on a 5-minute fight. Because if you don't do that, you're living for the full 5 minutes. No,
Bulk is back. Like. Add a minute to every fight. Bulk is back.
well, when it comes to Gungans, add the 2 because it's like
yeah.
So I laugh. Yeah. It's funny when you talk about it, right? And you look at Gungans, it's like you watch Task, it's like this fucking fight's never gonna end. You're at 4 minutes, like, all right, now it's down. Okay, now they die.
You can feel the stress on me, right? You can just feel it. It's like, God damn it! I just want to go.
We're all feeling it because it's like everybody who's faced Gungans is saying the same thing. Unless you've taken JMK or something that's overwhelmingly going to destroy it.
Yeah.
You know you're in for a 3 to 4 minute setup on just the generator, and then you get to kill the team. Hopefully.
It's true. This is no lie. There are no fibs here.
Also, while we're looking at this, there's a new slide up. While we're looking at this, the gas team is so hard to parse data-wise because so many people don't have R7 Rex, but they have R7 Rest. So, like, there are probably more teams, right? But, like, man. And when I say so many people don't have Rex R7, I mean, like, obviously, like, the top 100 people in the game probably have R7 Rex, but you get the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, sure.
Like, there are people with R5 Rex still that are probably able to get that counter to work with gas versus Queen Amidala. I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard tell about this. Now I just moved over to the Queen Amidala tab. So as far as things that we're dealing with this neatly this week, I know in 2 matches I used JMK. I took Mace in there so I could always be pulling people out from under stealth. But basically you're faster off rip, so you get to reset Cat, you smite Padawan, Obi-Wan, and you just move through the fight from there. That was really smooth for me. I want to say
I like how Tess said I used the best team in the game to beat the third best team in the game, and it was really smooth for me.
Well, that's why I was going to say, like, I wanted to try something else because I gambled putting JMK on defense to take advantage of him being really strong and in season as a defense. See where I was going?
I will say, the one thing I'll call out when you have the data, it works very good, but if you start messing with who's on the team, gas starts to fall off pretty significantly. So
yeah, we can take a look at this in detail because I was just about to say that's one of the things I heard echoing through the community was that gas was able to counter this. So I wanted to see exactly what kind of quality we're dealing with. Now, again, I set this up to be everybody on the Queen Amidala team is minimum relic level of 7. This is assuming that you have the Padawan Obi-Wan Kron. This is also assuming you've got the bulk level 3, and I set for either level 6 so that we could, any level 6 rather, so that we could see what's actually coming up.
Also, just for those of you at home, err on the side of the damage reduction level 6, I think.
You think so? More than the Proc Disruption? Because I feel like that Ignore Taunt is a threat all its own.
I'm going to tell you
when Obi-Wan has an AoE that ignores protection, I don't know why that's
true. That's fair, but
I'm
he's not the only significant damage dealer.
2 reasons, because I'll say that Dagger brought up a good point about trying to use Leia at one point for our plots and our themes, right? And I thought it was a good idea. But what happens is
damage reduction.
You got it. Because what happens is, so when you play gas, right, and against CLS, when you're playing the fight with damage reduction, you're playing around the timing where it's going. You have a very specific kill order when it comes to damage reduction of who you're trying to get out, right? So if like Xeris is on the team, you want her to go. Well, if you're trying to play the timeout and she's above the 50%, you're screwed. So it's like the damage goes in, and then now you have to move to the next person, and you're not touching POW, because if POW touches you, you don't play anymore. You don't get to play the game.
Yeah,
this might also be confirmation bias. There might also be confirmation bias, but it might also be a bug. But it seems that the higher your turn meter, the less damage you take.
Oh yes, I think that's also pretty. I think wasn't that the bug where it was before, where the more they were at, the less damage they took? I thought that was a thing the last time we had.
I don't recall.
No, I don't know.
Yeah,
I remember having conversations about this.
I remember the last time we had the damage reduction, and now this time, it really does stand out when you're trying to beat down. Like, for the Queen Amidala team is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, because the summon doesn't gain turn meter or take turn, so it's always at 0% TM. So you can see how much damage you're doing to that, and you can see in comparison how much damage you're doing to other people when they have TM. And it really does feel like, and again, this could just be confirmation bias, it really does feel like you're doing less damage the higher turn. And that applies to the true damage on Leia, which is why Leia doesn't really work versus the Queen Amidala team when they have the damage reduction.
Okay, so yeah, you're talking about Padme lead taking on Queen Amidala, but it'll fail against this turn meter, the turn meter level.
No, I was talking about Leia.
Oh, Leia. No, sorry.
Leia.
Leia Ray.
Leia versus Queen Amidala.
Leia Ray, Queen Amidala. I'm just going to mix up
Padme
all
too.
of these brunette white women together.
Yeah,
I straight up said that too. All these, man, I'm on a trip to get canceled. All these mid brunette white women.
They're all Karens, guys. They're all Karens.
All right,
they all have a thing to say.
Let's take a look more deeply though on this gas matchup. All right, so it is assuming full 5-0 first. It looks like it's working where you see Xeris. What's that?
Not losing 5s in that fight is wild. I mean, it's one fight we're looking at.
Yeah, for sure. And what are they rocking here? They got the damage reduction. That makes so much sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just biding your time to build up outrageous offense from all the crazy buff stacking, and you've got all this mitigation through the level 6. Plus
the common thread has been damage reduction. If you go look at any of them, but then you'll start to see, like I said, depending on the team concept, right? The construct.
You can win with a set 14, and that's with, oh my god, that's Xeris and C3PO. Okay, there's some real meat on these bones, guys. I want to see, did somebody make this work against the Xeris camp? Ooh, look at that. It dropped to Xeris Bad Batch Echo.
I did hear whispers of bad cooking is harder. I don't know the mechanics as to why. I'm not going to pretend that I know.
Well, I'll say this much. It's sample size of exactly 1. but this set him up for hell. Look at that. That was the first battle of all this guy had to push through on this team, and it looks like it didn't win in the end. He tried in the end with Night Sisters, and that, I mean, you got to be desperate to be trying Night Sisters into gas. Or no, sorry, into Queen Amidala's probably not going to do better. I heard people were chunking Queen Amidala's apart, two-shotting it with Night Sisters. Where does that show up? Further on down.
You have to go. You have to not exclude cleanups.
Oh, okay. So you would have done something first. That's right. Okay. People were doing that as the cleanup after you took out like Power or Xeris or something.
Yeah, it was like bounty hunters to take one asshole out and then Night Sisters to clean up. I think was something like that.
Okay.
I don't remember.
All right. Well, as far
somebody
as
I was
one
talking
shots,
to said they did it, but I don't remember.
As far as one shots, you've got a lot of the normal suspects. We covered JMK. We've looked at gas, of course. Bane, Sass. Only
worth mentioning.
Yeah.
This doesn't necessarily apply to everyone at our level, but there are going to be some people who don't have Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and Traya works okay versus those. Just. I mean, it's a little crumb to those who, maybe are slightly lower than us, but there are people. I fought against someone last week who did not have Power and Master Qui-Gon.
Well, good news for all those folks. We're days away from Padawan Obi-Wan becoming farmable, because I think he's anticipated to become farmable around July 4th. So, I mean, coming soon. But yes, that's actually a great question. I had a couple folks asking about how, if I got Queen Amidala, but I still don't have my Master Qui-Gon and my Padawan Obi-Wan, how might I use them? That's
here, use them with gas versus like JMK.
Okay.
Yeah, that nugget against using it on a gas squad. I did notice that if you throw Amidala under gas with against a full Queen Amidala that has Padawan Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon, they were 3 for 3 with pretty good banners last week. So like it seems to beat the standard.
So keep it as an element of an offensive gas counter. That is probably your best use.
Somebody tried to use that as with the combo of doing that on defense. Tano used that on round 1 and tried to put the Queen Amidala. So I get the sense, right? Because you get the tank, so you still get the decoy there. So it's smart to do that on offense, because having that to lessen the damage that gas is going to receive, or spread that out, that really makes a lot of sense.
So you're just dropping Arc Trooper out of there, right? Because you can only have one summoned thing, so it's either Arc or Queen. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, but just watching what it did, so I got to play the fight and watching. I very much had to maneuver my CLS fight, but I understand the concept. So knowing on offense that you can stop the damage, and then you're doing a damage reduction on top of it, so it's just going to be perfect. You're going to stand the whole time, basically.
On that note, CLS with bulk is reasonable against gas Krex, so the meta of gas on defense is kind of over for a bit. So this is actually a really good thing to look at, seeing as it beats the Queen Amidala team, or has a good shot to.
Worthwhile risk, right? Like
having bulk on your CLS team, like they're not. You take no damage. Like I did the fight, and like they took like half of my prot total.
I believe that. Yeah, my gas didn't hold. It didn't hold at all, but and I was fighting gases all week. My bounty hunters finally were back in season, being useful, and just dude, that the feeling, the rush of just sniping a Relic 9 well set up gas is just mwah. Back into these notes on Queen Amidala, though, I wanted to highlight Inquisitorius here. It looks like if you're going to use Inquisitorius into Queen, don't bother if you don't have Ninth Sister and the Ninth Sister Kron with that level 9 in there. It looks like the Reva Kron failed every time that it was seen, and even this one failed 1 out of 3 times seen after about 4 minutes, so it looks like there was a decent amount of contest, and indeed, they finished the fight with only Padawan Obi-Wan alive. So this guy did manage to get through that fight. So yeah, if you're thinking about doing this, better make sure you have the Ninth Sister Kron. Nobody was successful with JML. I believe that. Here's your Queen Amidala nestled in with gas, as you guys had said. There it is. Looks like it's about 61 banners for your trouble. Leia, 65? Really? With Drogon? Han Chewy R2. Talk to me about that.
Oh, being able to stun Obi off the benches.
So this actually serves to
Can
your
you
point,
stun?
Dagger.
Also, that's
These
not the
guys
DR
have
also
the
that's
prot
not the damage
disruption.
reduction. That's also not damage reduction.
That's literally
also
what I
not
was
damage
just
reduction.
saying, is that this serves your point,
Yeah.
Dagger, because this is the prot disruption 6, which is definitely, I mean, really nasty to deal with, because they just get around your taunts and just start beating you down.
The only thing I want to call out real quick is Dagger said stun PAL. I don't believe you can stun PAL with the Palcron. They were showing that where it's in the thing where
sure.
you can, but to Dagger's point, it doesn't change. I just want to call out, right? Because like I said, I didn't know that somebody found.
Opening up on PAL.
But I just want to call out, you can't stun him with the Kron right now, so that's the only thing. But Dagger's not wrong, and there's still a call out that the disruption to stop being able to hit anybody above that 50% is huge. So
there's nothing that's saying strictly that he can't be stunned, right?
it was found.
It's
in
just
our
a hidden
territory
effect.
chat.
Okay, that's always fun.
Nobody knew about it, so they found it in the GG subtext of the subtext type thing, where it's actually there, where it says he can't be stunned.
Okay. Well, whatever. Fine. But anyway, this goes to that point. If you're putting that this team down, and you know, if you're of the mind to re-roll the level 6 on your Padawan Obi-Wan Kron, it looks like you would be much better able to stand up to something like Leia if you have the damage reduction. So definitely worth thinking.
Shout out to the ability block Kron too that fucked me really hard. 1 round 2.
Fair
I mean, I
point.
still won the
Fair
fight,
point.
but god damn, that sucked.
Okay. So do we have any other notes we really wanted to cover here about Queen Amidala for this week? I think we got the
Bane
usual
has slightly higher callings sometimes versus like Ray, but like this is a pretty good Bane target if you were so inclined.
Wow, look at this. Some people hazarded Slacker. One guy even got C to work with GBA Thrawn set armor. Wow.
Remember, is it specific ignore taunt Kron? Because he applies Deceive to Jedi, which allows him to ignore taunt.
Yeah, well, first, he does have a Sith Kron. He does have the Ignore Taunt level 6.
The ignore taunt.
Right.
So this way you can just link the Jedi.
Yeah, man. And this is and that wouldn't matter for the damage reduction. So this is actually against the more dangerous setup for C to fight, right? This is the prot disruption and the ignore taunt. And indeed, it did get down to just Sith Eternal, and it was only done once, but someone did it. That's pretty cool. All right.
Back pocket knowledge you need to have.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, God knows if the defense is trending in the direction we hope for it to go, and things get a little bit more dicey out there. Yes, back pocket things become real solutions very quickly. All right. If that's enough on Queen, let's jump over and talk about JMK. So this was the other team to not really get jammed on. People were waiting for Slacker. People had a plan for Slacker this week. Except I guess Sasha said he had trouble with one. I know I struggled in 3 versus 3. So
everyone but Sasha had a plan.
Well, no, I'm saying
right.
I'm copying right to it because like in 3 versus 3, I know I got caught out a couple times. So I was specifically trying to make sure if they were going to get me, they weren't getting me there. And so I didn't lose to Slacker, and then I lost to JMK. The yin and yang, if you will. Regardless, as far as fighting this team goes, yeah, JMK mirrors. I imagine that these losses are from having a slower cat. Because I've seen a decent sample size of people doing these fights, and it is a bit random. Cat will often go and smite your cat. Also will sometimes just throw the delete onto your JMK randomly. If they have that prot disruption and ignore taunt when they have prot up, they can do whatever they want. So it's not that their cat will always smite your cat. It's that why would you expect them not to when you know that they can? So yeah, I don't know if you guys had any other experience to throw in about using JMK mirrors, but my cat is almost uniformly slower than everybody else I'm fighting. So I'm not relying on that counter personally.
I'm gonna go with the opposite.
No, exactly what you said. My cat is like 376, and most people I fight against are like 380 something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here's the thing. At the end of the day, and I know I talked with Tass and TJ about this, where it's like, if your cat is faster, you put it on defense. If your cat is slower, you still put it on defense, and you take that sliver that your opponent saves theirs because their cat is faster. Then you don't have to beat theirs. It works both ways.
It
It's
is a
not
very
unfair.
scary idea. The idea of what you don't see in front, maybe in back right now, is true for the terrorism, because you have to account that even if you do your scouting, it might be there, and if it's there, you have to have an answer, because if you don't, like Dagger and I were talking, he said, "Well, I'm going to go JKA," and I'm like, "All right, well, I'm going to try something else because I wanted to see what it would do," and lo and behold, I faced a JKA comp as my round 3, and what I had planned for it did not work because
Yeah.
and I'll say,
Hard note
and
by
I'll say
that.
what it was, right? I decided I wanted to try to bounty hunter the cat because I ran into a problem, so I had to adjust my setup. Well, what JKA did was said, "That's not going to be okay. You can sit down now." And my people just went away. He blasted my team. There was no more team. And then that went in. So the JK on the team too adds just another wrinkle of you're not trying to go. So I had to slacker the JMK.
Maybe you don't have relic free bounty hunters.
Well, no, I've got actual bounty hunters. We're talking the good stuff, and it's like you would think it's going to be okay, but because he deletes your team, you don't get the contract fast enough, and they like going after,
Yeah.
good old. They like Mando. So if you didn't know this, they like Mando a lot when they want to target him, and then they don't make him play anymore, so you don't get to do the cat. So I had to go with SLK, and the JKA on the team with SLK is, to say scary.
You're not doing aura?
Man, it to say, oh no, I went that was or lead. I went the correct way. I still JKA got it down fast enough where he got to take a turn. When he takes a turn, there's no more team, so you don't get to the contract fast enough, and they just peel you apart. So I just laughed at it.
Also, really sorry. I was going to add an additional note.
I just call it the JKA was awesome. So Dagger and I talked about it, and he's like, "I'm going to go this way," and then I got to face it. I actually got to face it, and it hurt my feelings. And then I took SLK, and that double hurt my feelings because I still won and I still beat it, but butt clincher doesn't even begin to talk about how close it got to my SLK. He was a sliver away, and then I got it pulled back. Should not have won almost, probably.
It's also time to put the defense primaries back on your maces. Want him to be weakest. You're on mute, Tass.
Man, you're absolutely right about that. I actually made the effort of I didn't put him in defense primaries. I have him in strong defense secondaries that I think it's like offense primaries, so he's still got a decent body of offense. No, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But yes, I experimented with it, and it took a ton of work to put Ahsoka up high enough life total wise and Mace low enough life total wise so that he would be consistently called with assuming a light side bolt cron applied, which does add a layer of complexity to it because of the protection gains that they both would get. So, yes, having that trick Mace on tap for those assists, it is back in season, baby. It's true. All right, sorry, other good counters here. Let me scroll back up. So yeah, Slacker, of course, people were doing it with FOSF. It looks like counters that are trying to avoid using FOSF have a bad time. Leia appears not to work. Of course, Bane. Lord Vader with Bane is a huge commit, and apparently if you want to concentrate all that together, you can get yourself a whole 56 banners. Jeez. Yeah.
Well, that's the nuke team, right? That's trying to set you up with having all your buffs and all the debuffs, where Bane's middle just kills all the sides.
I guess, yeah. I mean, at some cost. So it looks like the band is pretty narrow here, folks. I mean, if it isn't going to be Slacker or Bane or JMK, you're going to have a tough time based on week 1 data. I don't know if you guys had anything else you wanted to throw in on JMK.
No, just that, we talked about Gungans and the potentially with SLKR to be like hard stops. That as much as like that or Queen Amidala squads, but as much as that JMK squad is brutal, it does have that vulnerability of you can do a reasonable 2-shot of use the Aura Bounty Hunters, take out Cat, and then one thing I saw in my history, hats off to Bebe, that he used gas to clean it up. Once Cat's out, Gas did a nice job, a little over 2 minutes, taking the remnants of the JMK squad down.
That's the old school. So that's
That-
funny
that
you
is
say that
the-
because that
These
is
are
the
the old
old
ways.
tradition. Yeah. You take the bounty hunter into the gas. So it's cool to see that.
Got to
it's
pull
back.
the Aslan there. Don't
Yep.
recite the old magic to me, witch. I was there.
Remind us though, you're not doing a cooldown pull into using the bounty hunters, right? You're doing that. You're ending up. You're not going to be
You have
ahead of Cat, so you're just sacrificing Bosk, or what is that?
You have to go all in. You do the Mando shot. It's dead. You lose. You go with gas. Finish fight.
Yeah, but I guess I'm saying that the plan doesn't require Bosk doing anything at all because it doesn't sound like he would.
No.
She's gonna. You don't taunt. You go in. Step one. You're going to go all in with Bosk. You go all in with Grief. Middle. It'll go. It should be at contract by that point.
Well,
Mando
Zam.
takes shot.
Zam
Oh.
test. Zam.
Yeah. So you have Zam in the mix so that you have the added speed over Cat.
It's Aura, Zam, Grief, Boss, Mando.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just reminding Pat that Zam outspeeds Cat because
I just
we
laugh
don't.
at it.
We use Zam so much these days that we remember everything about her.
It's
right?
pretty infrequent,
Just-
but I did. It's a
just
little
keep-
embarrassing for me because I used her twice this week. So fair.
Just to call out for people, don't taunt with Bosk. You'll watch everybody else. Everybody wants to do that taunt. If you do the taunt, you lose the fight.
Womp,
You must
womp.
not taunt.
Okay, fair enough. Any
That's
other
what I was
notes?
saying Mace. That's what I was saying Mace because JMK does the cooldown on Cat, calling Mace to assist to ability block Boss.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose.
Lights out.
That's the minute he is gone to assist is the minute you lose. If you watch Mace go, you will watch in horror and it'll go slow motion as he basics you. You get blocked, you lose fight.
There's only sadness.
That's why I brought up the Mace thing a little bit earlier. Is No, this is going to come out late for the patrons, so I apologize. This didn't come out well. You can change this, but week 3.
Week 3. Yes, week 3.
Maybe.
But it's also, I also want to call out, and what Taz said is true too, the struggle to make Mace the weakest at our level is usually a Relic 8, Relic 9, something like that Mace. They're not weak Maces. And Mace, he gets big, right? So it's actually very hard. So when Taz tells you, the guy who does modding like meticulously and all that says, I struggle to do this, and it gives you the heads up that any average Joe, a la EU, me, or anybody else, no, it is an actual task to make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah, offense set with defense primaries, health cross on snips. Done. That's just like trying to keep Ahsoka in an offense cross.
No, that's with her in a health cross and a health arrow, but a crit damage triangle in crit damage sets. If she was in all health sets, it would be a trivial effort.
Okay, yeah, mine's in an offense plus health set.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, then you probably just have better secondaries of health throughout the mine because I had to push to get mine up high enough for the life total. The really hard part was making it all work with the light side bulk chron on because I tested it out in the Galactic Challenge and it worked, and then I went and tested it out in Squad Arena and it didn't work, and then I had to work on it some more. So, yeah. All right, let's jump into segment 2, offensive gambles. Guys, I know you probably had a few minutes here today to take a look at your Grand Arena history, and I wonder if you have selected your favorite attack out of this week. Let me pull mine together here. Trying to think about which one excited me the most. Yeah, Afra still worked on Java, but what was the one that really was cool? No, it wasn't this round. I tried Treya against Nas, okay? And I think you were there for this, Sasha. I think you saw this live.
Yeah.
This was already having gone in with Leia and retreated because we got blown out. So we were already immediately into science territory. Now we just saw some data that suggested that Treya had some win rate, not great win rate against the Boston Ascron. For me, about 2.5 minutes in, it was lights out. We were not. It was not going to happen. We were not going to get there. It was never going to get there. So I say this as a gamble because it's like, you think you might have this work because it was like a 66% win rate, like 2/3 chance to win in 3 versus 3, so long as they didn't just bully down your Treya off rip. So, yeah, maybe the win rate should have been worse in 5s versus 3, with the Gungans having their full range of attackers and everything. But I didn't think it was going to be that bad. So that was my gamble, and I gambled poorly. Who's next? Dagger, how about you? What's your gamble of the week?
Oh, yeah, so mine was round 2. I did C Night Sisters versus JMK Cat with JKA. And the reason it has legs. And I'll tell you where my mess ups came. First off, Anakin being there throws a huge wrench into this, just for the record. But if you had Watt, Thrawn, or Armorer in that Asajj spot, I'm pretty sure you could pull this out. Because the tank tech or having someone like, so what happened in this fight is that they just went straight after Daka twice, right? Like, so you want something that the AI will hard target. So you need someone that the AI will hard target, like Thrawn, Watt, or Armor, right? Because the AI, like JMK, is going to target that person until they're dead. So I think this has legs. It's the taunt ignore level 6 because you apply deceive to a Jedi, which will be one of the Jedi. Plus, this team had no taunt, so I was like, oh sweet, I can just link these two. But yeah, this has legs. It has legs. I don't know how consistent it would be, but this was the risk I took, and I botched it with the team comp selections. I didn't think it through too well, but yeah, this has legs.
But you would say this is like completely Battleship sunk if they've somehow got that minimized life total mace sitting on the roster ready to roll.
Unless you take Watt, like I said.
Okay, Watt will save you. All right, fair enough. I can respect that.
Well, Watt will have to put the tank tech on instead of the health tech, because traditionally you put the health tech on him to gain his health back. He does add the additional wrinkle of having to put the tank tech on, which means you don't gain as much health back.
It's true.
But so it might still be lights out because it might not be enough regen once they can ignore taunt, once they can ignore proc. But again, I don't know how big of legs this has, but it didn't feel unreasonable during the fight, even until I withdrew because they were about to kill C.
It sounds like it had enough going for it that you may try it again.
Yeah, I mean break glass, right? It's not your primary count.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good way to disclaim it. TJ, how about you? Your favorite attack of the week?
Really quick,
go ahead.
Just to finish off, it's the same concept as with bounty hunters. Mm-hmm. If you can zap Cat +1, you can clean up with Bad Batch.
Fair,
right? So this team is really easy to 2-shot if you kill Cat.
All right then, TJ, how about it? What's your gamble of the week? I got you up on screen here.
I'll pull the 2. I want to go 2, and the only reason I want to go 2 is because it was cool being able to do it. Because Dagger and I talked, so I'll go week 1.
Okay.
The CLS versus the gas.
Well,
with the
you mean round 1 here?
Yeah, just one. Okay. Sorry. That CLS versus gas with Quadmate, it actually was a real fun fight.
Oh, that must have come later. Well, let me find that.
Yeah, go for all the fails.
There it is.
So it's against
CLS versus gas with Quadmate. I see that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
That was a really unique fight. Having the tank in there and doing it, I had to make a lot of changes
to the fight. Damage reduction, Galactic Republic 2. Yeah,
you got it. Dangerous. You got it. So all of these pieces are happening. It's a really organic and fluid fight that you have to make a lot of decisions going in. So to change the fight, you're actually going to go after Queen Amidala first to stop her bullshit, right? Because you have to stop it. You don't go after 5s. You don't go after all that. But then you're into the fight. You definitely need the bulk to be able to work this. But you have the same idea as that. She's not a 501st, so she's not protected. But you still have to get to it when you can. And what happens is when he first sits down, there's another taunt sitting right there. So this fight was cool as hell to see in action. Very unique in the setup, but CLS still can beat it. But I can see why it would have a high failure rate. If you don't know what you're looking for and understanding the kits and what's going to happen. Also, I had to sacrifice 5s. I did not go for the kill on him. There was not going to be enough time because he kept sitting down. So calling out that I actually had to get 5s gone because I had queen down. Then I had to get... So he stood up about 3 times, right? So you need the bulk. But that call out of making sure that 5s is sacrificed, and then when it goes back down, you kill everybody, and then it's just gas again, and now you're back to the normal fight. Super fun fight, man, and it's cool. And I think we're gonna see. It's like, well, I saw it worked with CLS, and you don't have that same success rate. You'll understand why.
Oh, I see that. All right, you said you have one other you wanted to highlight.
I do. Dagger and I talked, and I know there can be a high failure rate. It was Phoenix, round 3 against Inno. I took my Phoenix against his Riva with the Night Sister Cron. And Dagger was telling me there's a high failure rate to this, and I can see why it would be. If they decided that your Krex didn't get to play, you lose the fight. Because I lost Kanan, and I watched people do the GBA, right? And I've seen where, like, I saw Xerath do it a couple of times, but he also went, I think, 1-3. If they decide your Krex doesn't get to play, then you lose the fight. Kanan was dead. Move 2. I was 4 versus 5 starting off. But I was able to pull it back. Really quick,
there's also like the 15% resist issue too, right? Like if 7th resists the days or resists the
Can you pull up? I want to say, can you pull up my cron on that fight? I want to say I heard something else, and I'm wondering if it's true. Did I take what I think? So the stats, not anything about that part. Just the stats.
Oh, accuracy.
Okay, accuracy.
With the ability block level 6 for Galactic Republic, you can actually probably, because there's no, that might actually be decent on this cron too. If you were to.
It's the 2 pieces because I watched, and I want to call out because I think it's actually true what Dagger is saying. I watched Xerath's fight, and he couldn't land the daisies he needed and all that, so I wanted to see what my stats were because, like, mine went okay, but I also got everything to land. So to the point of Dagger, everything was landing like it was supposed to. My cannon was gone right off the rip, so I lost that, but I was able to get in, and then it was almost to an auto. You kill ninth, you kill the rest of the team, you win. And that's how I had to play the fight. But it was cool seeing, and Dagger's like, did you get a video? I was like, no, I didn't, man. But it's like, so that has a really high failure rate, so I can see why. Because if the days doesn't land, she's wrecking you. You're done, right? That's the end of the fight. If they kill your Krex, the fight's over. You're already done. You've lost the fight. So I can understand this not being one of those sure thing counters, but it was fun to actually get to use Phoenix Krex against what I would consider right now a stronger setup. That 9th on the team is gross. It just adds an additional layer. So seeing that and getting it to work, and then hearing from Dagger's like, no, I talked to a couple people, and it's got a really. I can see why. So those are my big ones.
Oh, sounds good, man. Appreciate it. Sasha, last but never least, how about you? Your gamble, offensive gamble of the week.
Yeah, so it actually was, with only one match, it was a ton of fun. If you take out the SLKR, I tried, a few different things. The one that I would say, and it surprisingly all worked, but the one that was really, I almost did a double take in it. If I saw this in somebody's history, I would wonder if they were hacking. Is if you go down in my history and you take a look against the Tuskens, it was a very good Tusken squad. Every loss there is to a Slacker squad, which led to sort of the creative opportunities of all right, what do I use against other stuff? Look at how cheap this Jedi squad is against an extremely good Tusken squad.
Yeah, that's a pretty burly cron you were fighting in the first place. 142% armor penetration and 35%.
Your head is in the way. Scroll up. Scroll up. Your head's in the way.
Oh, my head? Yeah, sorry. I mean,
your head is blocking the Jedi team.
Well, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking about being able to read the cron. First, let's look at the cron. He's got the potency up, tenacity up 3, some health, some protections, great offense on there. The Jedi damage level 6, Kit Fisto level 9. Okay, and now here's your composition.
I would hazard, would this be a normal? Because I tried the Sasha things that work for Sasha, but don't work for regular humans. I only want to call out what we all experienced with Padme last round in 3s, where Sasha's Padme. Okay, cool. Yeah, I just want to make sure.
I don't know the consistency versus Tusken specifically, but Bastel lead with Kit is something I've used in 3s and last 5s to reasonable effect. It doesn't kill good teams, but it kills things like Dash, right? It kills mid teams. It's good.
Right. And I think the limitation from using it once, and you can see, I've got at least at this level where I was slightly under relic was my Ayla and my Kit were R7, so still solid, but against all R8 and R9 Tuskens. And I looked at Ayla, ironically, to be kind of my primary damage dealer. The things that I did in this that just to kind of help it work, I think to Dagger's point, I think it's just I think the theory is sound, but it's dependent on the Kit Fisto cron, for me at least. So a couple of things. One, you get 150% tenacity off the Bastille lead, and that's critical because it means that you're not taking dots from the Tuscans. Right, so every single turn there's a bunch of resist. As long as you have that protection up, for sustainability, like one of the things that I'd really suggest in doing it, Kit Fisto is part of that Datacron. Whenever he takes a turn, he equalizes health and protection. So when you're using Shock's call, I would typically target Aelith for slightly more damage. Not that she's a great damage dealer, but if I had anybody that was starting to be down in protection or health, target them, and it just benefits the entire team because the higher their percents are, the better balance you get when Kit comes. And that for Shock, I would use her basic as much as I could, other than basically, unless she had the call to assist. I didn't use her middle because her basic creating the offense up ended up being really meaningful. So yeah, it was fun and surprising.
I mean, yeah, without having like a real serious heavy hitting Jedi attacker. I mean, Kit Fisto can be set up to do decently well, but there's still a cooldown.
Yeah,
that's special.
I did this with
really
Hodum.
impressive.
I did something similar last 5v5, but I used Hoda Mace instead of Ayla Jolie.
Yeah, Mace and Hoda are great. And Mace is so great for like a long sustained fight because he does so much, as we've talked about already, but including just reducing the max health of that opposing team. In threes, I love Mace because it's just he softens the entire opposing team up with so many more turns and less opponents.
Bastila Kit Mace with the Kit Cron was like, I'm going to miss that next 3v3. Sorry for the tangent, but I'm going to miss that next 3v3.
Yeah.
That team was sick.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that. That was a real gem. All right, guys. Next, Standout Defenses. Yeah, let me throw mine up here real quick. What round was that? I want to say it was round 1. Let me check. Yeah, man, my boss Nas. I guess we'll probably end up talking about meta teams again. But as far as
hold on, really quick. If possible, let's pick a non-Boss Nass, non-Queen Amidala, non-JMK team for defense.
Okay, you know what? I like this. I like the cut of your jib. I like the spirit of that. All right, so the answer for me does not lie in round 1. Okay, you guys are putting me on the back foot. Okay, I'm
well, the good thing is you had the rare account of having 3 real matches.
Okay. Dig this. Yes, that is true, by the way. Seriously, thank God I actually had a week with 3 legitimate matches, and I can't tell you how long that's been. So, really, thank you to the matchmaking gods for that one. Sorry?
Somebody failed with Afra against you?
Yes. I'm so delighted.
That's R9
that's R9. Dude, that is a bad son of a bitch. Look at that cron they took too. All right, this ain't no game. Man. They took in the A team, and let me tell you, absolute foreclosure. Now, I know when we were talking in the planning. We were talking in the planning round about having crit avoidance stacked. I couldn't do that here. So I had to make a call. Okay, I have no crit avoidance, so what's the other way to go? I had to look at my offensive split on crons and look at the stat mix. This is the one I went with. A little bit of everything, right? Man, they only got Bausch, and they were closed out in under 2 minutes. They just, you get out of my house. Get off my plane. So Jabba's usually a slam dunk to Afra at this level. Particularly without there being a Bausch cron in season like we had been in the past that might make this difficult. So I guess that's a good one to hold out. And I also wanted to highlight this. I was going to say it anyway. For Reva on defense, a classic counter to Reva has been Seer Malicos. And I will say that the clearly the added health on the team from the Ninth Sister level 9 was determinant. They weren't able to get through. And not only that, like they were relying on the burst to actually close somebody out. Okay, they were relying on that.
Also, no crew because Night Sister is a doo-doo ass tank.
Dude, 1
That's
minute and
true.
11 seconds, crew didn't matter.
That's
At 1
well,
minute,
maybe crew would have mattered, and I think that crew
Do
would
you
certainly
think so?
have done more. But
Yeah,
let me
'cause there's
just
no
say,
pre-con.
Oh, I
There's no
guess so.
pre-con here.
I guess so. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
so. 1
pre-con-
minute, like,
pre-con isn't
This
nothing.
looks like it went straight for Malicos off the rip.
and that probably sunsets you. Yeah.
This was a retreat, and the only reason you'd retreat is if they went right after
yeah,
Malicos
you
off
lost
the
your
rip.
team.
I don't know
Yeah,
that
you
I'd
lost
be
your
in the
team.
fight even that long if that were the case. My point
Question
is
for you
that.
guys.
What's that?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Tess. Go ahead. I got a question after. You go ahead, Tess. Finish.
Well, yeah, no. The only thing I was going to make further on this point is it's just like they were thinking it's you got to knock out like a couple of the weaker characters. Ideally, Grand Inquisitor goes down on the first set of rocks, and this guy, just over a minute in the fight before retreating, is like he decided, maybe after an unfavorable opener to try and get somebody down and see if it was going to work, and then it wasn't going to go that way. He had to withdraw. So that's a good one to highlight. Sorry, Sasha,
the other
your
problem
question.
is that.
Sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, then after that.
Quick question though. Do we know if the Ninth Sister Datacron was quote unquote fixed? I thought there was some discussion that like the bonus health or the added health on it only lasted for one turn and then disappeared.
Oh, I don't know about that. No, I don't. I don't know. I
When
didn't
it
know
first
about
came
the
out, that
issue,
was
and I don't
true.
know if it was fixed.
Yeah.
Also, on this fight, Fulcrum is a liability. That should have been crew. It gives your Malicos extra bulk, so
Yeah.
he's harder to target down. And not having the pre-taunt means that if GI tortures Malicos, it's like TKO.
Makes sense.
I'm guessing if I look at defense, this guy had his crew with Slacker, something of the kind. Yeah. So that's
Oh,
probably
yeah,
the trade-off made. Okay, well, how about... I'm sorry, we covered your point, Sasha. That's right. Well, Dagger, that's fine. Let's talk about you. Your defense of the week. Let's hear it.
Mine was actually week 3 Reva as well. And it makes me sad because I think I'm going to have to pull Reva off defense because this week has shown us... you can see no crew. Pry was saying no crew is what's cost him.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so don't be running
I
this,
said
guys.
no crew is because... Yeah. Because no crew... Again, Malicos got tortured.
Yeah, that's a bad time. Yeah,
That was
even if
it.
you don't get outright
Like, if you
deleted.
see how long the fight took.
Yeah, 34 holes. Now that sounds like I just got blown out. I need a couple seconds to blink at the screen to come to terms with what I've just witnessed, and then I withdraw.
Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is I think if you're doing this, you need crew, or it's just a no go.
I think so too.
The only like what TJ said, like if Phoenix works against this shit at all, like. And the fact that it works kind of sort of versus the Boomer Padme teams.
I'm gonna call what Dagger said though. I just want to preface this. I feel like there was some added luck to my fight in the way it went down. I don't think this is a case for everybody. Also, I would say I have good relics on my team.
Mm-hmm.
I also took crit avoidance and other things to try to keep it alive and bulky. And make sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I just want to call this out, right, to Dagger's point. Don't think this is the end all be all. I just happened to have a good match with this, so it ended up being really lucky.
Oh yeah.
I
Also,
easily
right next to
watched
it.
so many fails.
Yep, I see that. Yep, makes sense to me.
Gas versus Boomer Padme was also a fail.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, people. Yep, I mean, yep. And
I don't even have the damage reduction level 6 here. That was the.
That's right. Yeah. Nothing is guaranteed, I guess. Wow, that was like the third attempt too. Okay. All right. TJ, how about you? Your top defense of the week.
I don't want to talk about my top defense. Top defense is Ray. Ray, hands down. We've talked about it before. I'm not going to say much more than that. Ray was my hands down favorite defense.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't news because we've discussed this several points on our show. But yes, the Ray with Swolo, the Bros, and Holdo with the Holdo.
100%. What got me my win round 3 was Ray. Everything else did its points. Yeah. The only one I want to call out was tada! I told you, bitch. Go look at my Saw defense. I was so happy this held like it was supposed to. I was like, we were going. It's like that's a good hold against Sid, and then lo and behold, you go to my Saw team that I created, and it was like we were going through the talk on it, and it stopped the Sid. It was
which is
ended up
pretty
being
cool. Was that in round 3
like,
here?
Round 3. It was one of the other fights where it's like
there it is. Yeah.
So, and it's like, what was the piece? We talked.
It's
about
just
it,
the respawning. Yeah, he timed out. Oh my god, the rage I would feel.
Yep.
Oh.
And it was the talking. I was like, how are we going to do this?
And this is the only reason it worked. Is that level 3? It's that level 3. It's them.
You got it.
Yeah.
That was our talk. And
yeah, that was our discussion.
Question,
brilliant.
You kept telling me, how do you do it? And I'm like, all right, so give him enough things to where he has to keep playing with the fight, and then keep cleansing it fast enough. And it's like, son of a bitch, because that was it.
Who's ability blocking him?
It's not about him getting ability blocked. It's about these two always getting buffs back and thus being able to just like chain respawn forever and he times out.
It's just tenacity up, man. Yeah, it's just playing
with
the fight with tenacity up.
It's just foul.
It's just taking the idea that you're not... So it's like what Sasha did to me, that asshole, with Tuskens. You don't pay attention to what you're going into, and you just walk in. Sid kills it all the time. I don't care. And then you're not paying attention to all the tenacity up happening, all the buffs happening, and the next thing you know, you're in a loop, and you can't get out of it. And that was the thought where I was going through tasks. Like, nothing's going to stop Sid. I was like, well, let's try it and see. And that is exactly my thought process, putting it in. So to see that work was cool, to know that, because everybody's going to go free 69. And that was what Tass said to me. It's like, I'm not putting those 69 on my board. It's like, well, let's try it and see what happens.
That's
right. So seeing it in action, and it's like, when I saw those two still alive, I was just jumping up because I was like, told you, bitch. Like, I got you, Tass.
I'd probably also put, if you don't have a use for it, I'd probably put Krex down instead of Cheer It or Kyle.
So Tass saw where it didn't matter. That the Krex on the team, so we talked about it.
In previous,
and that was the only reason I put the way I did, was literally going around that we're getting rid of the debuffs that Sid will try to apply, and then you get stuck. And that's the only reason the way I did it, I did. That's it.
But Krex matters against things like Dash, so Dash can't really beat this if you have Krex there.
But my idea was you were going to use Sid, and that's because it's a free 69.
Yeah. Well, yes, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying you can block Sid with the level 3 and other cheap counters with your comp.
I wanted to keep Krex because I was going to try the Phoenix against Reba. Specifically,
Kyle does the same thing, though. Kyle does the same thing. Though, so.
But that's the idea. Well, Kyle was just in case I fucked up on Jabba, and I needed my Kyle to be a good fix for the Mon Mothma. So I was like, I just wanted to put...
would be Jabba.
It's just fun to do. But either way, it was showing that you're going with the assumption that Sid beats it all, and so you're building a Saw team that's going to stop Sid, and that's what you're trying to do. Draw it out. It's not going to hold. It's not great. It's not even good. But you're not using any of the characters on the team, and you're still pushing it out for a hold in a world right now where it's just crazy for defense.
Dig that.
You're not using Sidious. You're not using Wampa.
Yeah, that's nice to block those out right now. Yeah.
That's the idea, right? Is you're not trying to give away a thing, and you're hoping that they're going to use it, and that's where that was my thought process. Because Tass kept calling me out. Why are you putting this there? It's going to get 69, and it's like, all right. So it was cool. That was it. That was my fun one.
Shout out to Bebe for reminding me that on round 1 of this week that was a doable thing. So appreciate you out there, dude. All right, Sasha. Again, last but never least, your favorite defense of the week.
You know, the only thing that held was my GMK Padme squad, but you know, I tried to set Malgus on D, hoping that might just be a complexity, because I set a relatively heavy D. I set Slacker, Ray, GMK with Padme, QA, Boss Nass. I set an LV, Piet, Maul. But I was hoping Malgus, might make a difference. So that was the one that I just thought would be a bit of a fun twist. It didn't end up holding. Let's see, it ended up losing to C Night Sisters. But so I think, as I look back at the week, if I had set that up better, equipped it with maybe in a better environment, if I had put gas on D, maybe bottom front to be able to pull C, I think that would have done better. But that was the one that, that I thought might be interesting. Everything else fell to the side. Story of the week.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it's tough to get a lot out of it when you only get one real match a week. You have my sympathy, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we just ping right back?
Stuck like me and be in the hundreds. I was saying the trick, Sasha, is the stuck like me and be in the 100s. That way you get 3 real fights every week.
Got it. Okay.
That'd be worse. It'll solve itself.
Hey, asshole, that's us. That's us. That is not just you.
I
Fuck
wasn't going to include
Dagger.
you in this.
No, asshole. We both suck equally, goddammit. We plot and scheme our way to bullshit, and that's why we get the real fights, and these guys suck ass because they're good.
Seems very fair. All right, guys. Yeah. We got to turn to the final segment because I don't want to keep you all forever. So let's move into lessons learned / takeaways. Why don't we jump right back off of you, Sasha? I feel bad always sticking you dead last. What's your biggest takeaway? I know we've had some great gems that we've discussed here, but if you had to have one last morsel to give the people, what would it be?
I'm very curious. As much as I just talked about, maybe I should have set gas on D, and I think that's something that I'm going to mull over for this week. One of the takeaways I have is I think gas is a really vicious predator right now with that damage reduction GR level 6. I've seen really good Ray teams taken out fairly comfortably, maybe not great banners. Like I said, if you needed to 2-shot a JMK, gas does the bulk of the work once Cat's out of the way. And then the Queen Amidala possibilities. I know there's some risk with it, but that's a big takeaway for me. As I'm thinking about next week is gas seems, as we've talked about, to be decently solved. Maybe people as sort of a comfort blanket will throw an expensive counter like C at it, but it's maybe a little bit vulnerable on D right now and high potential on offense. So that's one of the takeaways for me is I think there may be some cool purpose for gas on O. Yep. That's
Strong one. All right. Let's maintain this reverse order for funsies. How about back to you, TJ? What's your last note for the folks at home?
Man, Gungans suck. Good and bad.
Fair note, of all the teams to be prepared for in this week, make sure you got your story
straight. We all
talked
about it. You name the meta ones, and that's what it is, right? Everybody has them on defense, and then it's whoever can beat that defense wins. Even if it's not clean, right? You beat it with SLK barely, you kill Gungans, you win. They don't, so it's you just got to do a good 50-50 and make a decision.
Yeah.
Try to out strategize your opponent, do your studying, and then you're just gonna have to set the proper board and just be better. It's gonna be a tough fight.
Okay. All right, Dagger. How about you? Hopefully your mic is working and you're not being waterboarded as we speak, so we can get a clear take from you on what is your gem for the people.
Take advantage of, if you're a person that scouts, continue to take advantage of the knowledge you gain. Knowing where they're going to set their teams is almost as important as knowing what they're going to set. I found myself, I wasn't really caught out this week, but knowing that something is in the back makes you play differently. And I know that I played differently knowing that something was going to be in the back. So maybe consider this. If your opponent knows something's in the back, does that actually hurt you? Historically, we talk about how that could hurt you. But in this current meta where there are 3 teams that need to be beaten, and then what happens if they play differently and it's not there and you saved your JMK to mirror theirs? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I think that there is some value to putting something in the back wall this season. Maybe tipping my own hand here, but I was thinking of putting Gungans and Padme or Queen Amidala in the back.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be there, but it would have fun getting through my front wall to get to them.
That's a good one.
So consider moving some stuff around in that instance, because we are still fixated on placing things in the front. Now, that being said, the flip side of that is if you both place yours up front and you both get stuck, if yours are in the back, you lose. Right? So there's obviously a flip side to this coin. So if you have a good plan or a plan that you think is very strong, there are ways, I think, to out-strategize your opponent, or at least create a little bit extra bleed. And, I'll just kind of... And also, Tass, your hat is dumb. And, that's all I got.
Good. Yeah, I think mine was going to be somewhat of a derivative of yours here, Dagger. My last point for everybody at home would be when you're a new Datacron set gets introduced in 3 versus 3. So this is the 5 versus 5 debut week for set 15. Everybody, did what they had to do to get through week 1. Everybody is looking to be cleaner and have a more reliable, more refined counter, and also shore up the defense. But let's just say that you struggled like a lot of us did on attack this week. Look for, certainly, as others have mentioned here, shore up your own attack plan. But look at how your opponents this week have chosen to go after these meta teams, and consider setting forks for that. Forks are something that we haven't really gotten to do a lot of recently with as efficient as the meta has been. So you could do it the way Dagger set up. Set up a bunch of things in the bottom front wall that want similar counters, and then have the expected meta team sitting in the back. There are other arrangements that can force similar draws, but that's the idea, right? So everybody's trying to come into this week 2 with the rock solid plan. So okay, fine. If you've got the metas figured out, figure out the non-metas first. Something like that. A great note to take. All right, guys. As always, to the 3 of you, thank you for putting the time aside for us to make this. We had a lot to break down, and I'm very pleased that we got it done here in just over an hour. For everybody that wants to be in touch, you can find the link to my Discord on the channel information, so you can get in there. Of course, if you want to catch me live on Twitch, that is twitch.tv/Tassinix. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you already know about my channel, Tassinix Gaming, which not only features this podcast, Plotting and Scheming, but we also have Datacron set videos up there that I make with one of the top players in the game, Aesop Rock. We got those live on sets 14 and 15 right now. I have my mod guide series on individual characters and teams that is continuing. That is still right there on YouTube. And also, of course, Plotting and Scheming itself here also gets put out to Spotify, YouTube podcasts, and so on. So check all that out. And of course, last but never least, if you're enjoying the show, you enjoy what we're doing here, and you want to support, the channel, check out my Patreon. So check out patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile GAC player, there's something of interest to you. $5 gets you in the door to the Tass House. You get dedicated, chat and text channels with me and all the other guys that are, always sweating it out here. Scheming on the next great plan. But in addition to that, you also get early access to Plotting and Scheming and my Datacron set videos. So all my patrons will get this here late on Tuesday night or early Wednesday morning. Public release is on Friday mornings. So that can be the advantage of having the intel for that first round of the week and not. And of course, we got to thank the members here that have jumped into the Tass House. So thank you to Andrew, White Wolf, Sam Vimes, Jobin4527, Stark Strategy Gamer, Raise Malbus, Brock Thudsteel, Renee Bebe, Deadpool Cow 28, Johnny B. Ottawa, JJ's Productions Twitch, Sweens14, Darth QPPMG, and Arj, ARJ. I know he's not on the slide, but I didn't forget him. Okay, and of course, jumping up from the $5 tier, at $10 a month, you get the Patreon bundle to myself and to OmegaBot. So if you watch at the start of my streams, I always go over the OmegaBot report on my opponent. No other tool gives you such a powerful, at-a-glance view of your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies. Being a patron of it means that you can pull a report that goes back further than just the last 2 weeks, so you can dial in and get the information you're looking for. Thank you so much to Stryker and Esh Sotnikam taking that offer. And of course, bumping up to VIP Access Premium, this is the Double Bot Bundle. So you get Patreon access to me, OmegaBot, and Hot Utils, which is the premier tool for, mass inventory and mod management. It's just one of the 2 great tools for helping you prepare and manage your Grand Arena. And of course, at the top of the Patreon list, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper Ingesters Club Elite. By far, my most incredible, generous supporter over the years. He'll just pop in from time to time on a stream, drop hundreds of subs out of nowhere, thousands of biddies. Really appreciate the generous support, to me and to the community. So thank you so much, man. And of course, last but never least, our special thanks out to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters back in the day, bought me the mic that I'm speaking to you on right now. He has long since quit the game, but we remember him fondly from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all your work in the background managing our inquisitive and destructive child as I try to spend hours, being good at a phone game. So appreciate you. And of course, last and truly, never least, my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha. Couldn't make the show without you guys. Everybody gets their fill of me jaw-jacking by myself if they just tune into the stream. So truly, it's a huge value add to get the diverse perspectives and the crazy gambles you guys sometimes go for. Couldn't do it without you. Appreciate you so much. All right, let's come back over to the main scene. Sorry, what was that?
And I think I speak for the other two here when I tell you to eat shit.
Okay, very fair, very fair. Reasonable response, proportionate, accurate. Very good, very good. Anyways, guys, it's time to get set up for, week 2, round 1. Best of luck to you in all your preparations. And until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.